Hello and welcome to TelecomTV. I'm Martin Warwick and I'm talking with Mark Bieberick, who is the Senior Director Strategy with NEC Netcracker. Mark, good to see you and thanks for coming in and talking with us. I'd like to cover off something around what it will take to operationalise NFV. So I want to put this to you. If you remember back a while ago, the whole notion of NFV was predicated on openness and particularly on the notion of OpenFlow, which is going to be the key protocol to allow everything to happen very quickly. In reality, that didn't happen, and we now have somewhere like 10 different protocols. So what we're actually seeing in reality is re-siloization with these different protocols for each, from different bodies, being used by different manufacturers, being applied to different CSPs and so on. What's going to happen about that? Because the open idea seems to me to be being not exactly perverted, but made more difficult because we are having this re-siloization.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that we have silos today is actually quite discouraging, and it has many implications. The fact of the matter is that for customers to start to operationalize, they're doing so in small phases. So what that means is they'll go to a vendor, they'll virtualize the vendor's function, and they'll buy the vendor's orchestration product. Typically, it's what's called an NFVO or NFV orchestrator. It basically pertains to the resource layer. I think in order to really create an open ecosystem, what the operator needs is a horizontal, broader service layer, service orchestration layer, that's going to tie together both the virtual functions and the virtual networks with the existing physical networks and the existing BSS and OSS layers. Because the truth is, we're going to be operating in a hybrid environment really for the next 15, 20 years. So it begs the question of how we're going to operationalize virtual functions in a hybrid environment. And I think the real key answer to that is establishing this end-to-end service layer orchestration product.
So, nicely leading me into my next question, what does the industry need then to get to this operationalization level? What needs to be done next? Is it a step process? And how will it work across the industry?
I wouldn't characterize it as a step process. Because every carrier is different and service providers are going to take different approaches to solving this problem. But in our opinion, it really boils down to three things that's going to take the industry into an operational or commercially ready environment. And the first is really just to kind of change the mindset from technology to services. We've been focusing so much on virtualizing functions in the lab. Now it's time to look at what we can actually offer end users. What are the applications, the content, the network functions that can really add value to the end user's experience and build solutions around services and not necessarily technology. When we develop services, when we develop technology-based solutions, we're not necessarily serving an end user need. We're just proving we can do something technologically. So I think that what we're doing now is really focusing on the business case. So that's number one. The second step is establishing that end-to-end service level orchestration layer. Now, this is what's going to enable service providers to exist in a hybrid environment, right? Not being able to dismiss what they've built in the physical world. That service layer orchestrator is going to enable them to provision services, assure services across both virtual and physical domains. And the last thing, and this is really what I really want to focus on, is modernizing the existing BSS and OSS capabilities. There's a lot that goes into the billing systems and the operational support systems that aren't necessarily thought of in this context of orchestration. Right? These are things like partner management for onboarding and commercializing agreements between VNF vendors and an orchestration vendor, for example. Making sure that commercial arrangement is intact and establishing SLAs and enforcing those SLAs. The next thing is billing. And frankly, if you can't bill for these services, then the operator's never going to be able to operationalize it. And the billing systems need to evolve. They need to evolve to a real-time framework. They need to incorporate new rating and charging models and policies. The services are going to be provisioned and delivered and in a fundamentally new way. So it does beg the requirement to change the billing environment. And it's not talked about very often, but it's absolutely critical.
So, Mark Bieberich, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Martin.